Welcome you back to the Patrick Netherton Show right here on 1130 The Tiger. Rogers and Patrick, that's the two of us. We are pleased to have you with us, and we're always pleased to welcome in the head man of the ULM Warhawks, one of our favorite guys to chat with every year, Terry Bowden, who joining us from over in Fun Row. All right, Coach, tell us, how are you? You getting the season ready to go? Kind of, where's the excitement level right now?
Well, my excitement level just goes up exponentially once we start preseason. You know, you get kind of excited in July, but it isn't happening yet. You know, but once you get our guys reporting and you're on that practice field getting ready for a ball game, the juices start to flow. So now the players, it's like pulling teeth. They've played against each other about as much as they want to. They want to see a jersey of a different color. But I want every single day of practice that we got left because I want to be ready when Army comes into town. Well,
that we're going to get to that in just a moment,
okay.
But let's start with the heat. I mean, we've got unprecedented heat here in the last month or so. And by the way, I saw a ranking today on Twitter of best domes. Heat Dome is not on the list, Coach. That's not one of the best domes that you want, but it's what we got. Obviously, Bear Bryant back in the day, that going and the doing all of that, you can't do that anymore. But tell me about how you and your staff try to kind of deal with the heat as much as possible, knowing that you're likely going to have to play in it at some point.
Well, yeah, I mean, we've got to embrace the heat because we live in Louisiana, and if we're going to play a team like Army. And I think the high every day at Army is between 75 and 80 degrees at West Point. So we do want to embrace the fact that we get to practice in weather that they can't practice in. That being said, you got to be careful because, it may be important that I win to keep my job like anywhere I've ever coached. But the important thing for a coach to understand, our number one responsibility is for the health, safety, and welfare of our student athletes. Mm-hmm. And so the heat becomes a factor. Now, but this is my 28th year as a head coach. In fact, 40 years ago was my first year as a head coach in college, 1983. But what you do, you got to practice smart. First of all, we go out at 8 o'clock in the morning. And so it's probably just around 80 degrees. Not 105, but 80. Mm-hmm. By the time we get off the field, it's about 92 or 93 at 10:30. So we've already got 20 degrees less just by practice. And then you take 2 full breaks. You don't just say get a drink and come back. You go sit down under the shade, drink a 24-ounce bottle of Powerade or Gatorade or whatever you're drinking, and get the liquids in your body and get yourself cooled off, and then go back and go full speed for another 30 minutes. So if we have an hour and a half practice, we're going to have 2 5 or 10-minute breaks in between where they fill their liquid back up because dehydration is one of the big factors. Or, of course, heat stroke would be the most dangerous thing. But like I say, we coaches are from the South. We understand how difficult it is in the South. But you have to be very, very careful because you're dealing with the temperatures that are a few degrees higher. But if you're going at 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon every day, there's some high school kids in this state that are going through a lot worse than we are because they're having to go every afternoon when, that's when the heat is the worst. It's like from 4 to 6 o'clock, that's when it's really bad.
Yeah. Do y'all use like the trackers and stuff that keep track of how far everyone goes and how much they've run, all that stuff?
Oh yeah. We GPS. Our receivers are always the ones we watch out the closest for, and how far they run. But then just by the nature of the beast, some positions you run further than others. Defensive backs and wide receivers, obviously, because they're running a lot different areas, and you have to monitor it. But again, that's not changed. We always have to worry about that. That's more about weary legs or dead legs. Now, I will say this: I'm old school a lot of ways. I think you need to work hard. I'm not interested in my players feeling good right now. I want them to feel real good on the night we play Army.
Sure.
And I know how to back off.
Yeah.
So I tell my players, man, you may not like how hot it is or tough it is, but trust me that I'm not going to push you too far, and I'll get you back for that first game.
Yeah, have you ready for game one. Speaking of game one, right. You even mentioned, right. Coach, you get Army coming down here. Right. That's a cool game. Like, that's a really neat game. You're going to have a whiteout for it. Tell me about having Army come down. It's on NFL Network, right. Which is awesome. I mean, that's a great game, a showcase game to start off the season.
Now, let me open up. I said I could pick about 25 teams. It'll be a lot neater game for me than Army.
Right.
That's a very attractive game for the fans. not many teams in America want to open up with Army with that option. Although they said they're going to a shotgun, I'll believe it when I see it. They've been an option team. They're hard to play against. They're just, nobody wants them on their schedule because of the style of play. But you know what? It'll be an exciting game for our fans. We're going to make it Military Day. We'll wear our military uniforms that we wear. And our kids, it's not hard to get your kids up knowing they play Army. Now, we were beating them at halftime, and then they just overwhelmed us in the second half last year. But it's a great opponent. It gives us a great opportunity to play a team that we should have as good a crowd as we've had since I've been here, and we've had some pretty good home crowd.
Okay, I'm just strategically, Coach.
Yes.
I've always thought that, and you can please correct me if I'm wrong, because
Right.
I'm not a football coach. I've always thought, we used to see Paul Johnson's teams at Georgia Tech struggle in bowl games, because it always felt like the team had weeks to prepare for the option. If you were going to play an option team, wouldn't you rather it be the first week of the season so that you've had you can take as much time as you want to get ready for it, as opposed to a week?
Yeah, I mean, if you're comparing playing Army now and playing them 7 weeks in the season, then it's the best game in the world. If you're comparing Army to the 15 other teams I wish we opened up with,
right?
So it's all perspective. But you're exactly right. Having a little time to prepare. But now look at Army. They went public and said, the coach said, we're going to change our offense. They hired a guy that we're going to run shotgun. That's all public. Now, I know, with misinformation, if anybody's going to give out misinformation, it's going to be Army.
Right.
They're professional.
Right. They know how to do it.
At that. Well, they know how to do it. That's right. And so we have to prepare for what we think they're going to run. Now, so my thoughts, even if they do get in the shotgun, they're still going to run the option. They're not. There are teams that run the option out of shotgun, and I can't believe that they typically do that. So we've got to now kind of guess and prepare ourselves for what we think they're going to run, as well as what they did run last year. But the new offensive coordinator, I kind of think they brought him in to do a little bit of whatever he does. So that's one of the first things you do is you go back and see where all he's been and what kind of offense he ran, because that's an unknown. I mean, it's good for them not to know what we're going to do defensively, but it'd be nice if we could figure out what they're going to do offensively.
All right, so you mentioned figure out what you're doing defensively. Brought in a new DC.
Right.
Give me an idea of kind of what the challenge is for him.
Well, no, he came in last year.
Okay, last year, yeah.
We lost our young DC, but he's in his second year. And Vic is a long-time defensive coordinator.
Yes.
He was my brother's coordinator at Clemson. He had 2 successful stints at Troy. He's been in West Virginia, Illinois. He's been a coordinator all his life, and I've been close to him all my life. And so he's into his second year. And I think the first year he came in later where he couldn't recruit toward his style. This year he had the January, he had spring. He's been able to recruit a lot of kids. So we're going to see some new faces, but I think we're going to see some guys that are brought in here, recruited to fit his style of play. And so I think that's the most exciting thing is that he's been here a couple of years, and hopefully we can keep that continuity going.
Yeah, and you also, speaking of coaching staff-wise, you also have you've reshuffled some things, you've added some guys,
Right.
and a lot of guys I know. There's your staff is now replete with guys that I have worked with at Northwestern State. Broderick Fobbs, who was the head coach at Grambling, Matt Kubik, who has been all around as an OC and a quarterbacks coach, and Jason Rollins, who is your special teams guy, who was the coach at one point down at Southern. So you definitely have more of a Louisiana flavor since Rich Rod left your staff.
Right, that's exactly right. I'm almost, and I say this with great appreciation for the staff that I had, but when he was able to pay them more and took 7 or 8 of my guys, it allowed me to now say, okay, I'm gonna hire guys that are very familiar with Louisiana from a recruiting standpoint. They understand ULM, the state of Louisiana, and so I was able to add. Jason Rollins he was at Tulane for about 10 years, as well as at Northwest State where he played, and then at Southern as the head coach, and of course. Broderick Fobbs played for Eddie Robinson.
The legend.
And his dad was a high school coach, has been a coach for years locally, and he's been a head coach and done a great job. It's just so much more credibility in our state when they recognize these guys, not mention Kubik and John Carr and the background they've even Ron West, who has been gone for a while, was 7 years at Lafayette and was with my brother at Tulane. And so we've got I'm much more comfortable now. Sometimes when you get a head job, you're trying to hire people that they want you to hire, young guys from Power 5 schools, and it's nice. But when to have a chance to build a staff that's the best possible staff we can have at ULM, we've kind of hit a home run with that group.
Well, as always, Coach, as our boy Timmy B says, the mission critical position of quarterback. What's kind of give me the idea of how the quarterback battle's shaping out?
Well, I mean, Jaya Wright, who was the backup to Chandler Rogers the last couple of years, is the starting quarterback. He's a senior. He's paid his dues. He's backed up, and he's ready to have a great season. And he is our number one quarterback. Hunter Herring, who's from OCS, Washita Christian School here in town, and went to Lafayette and came back. He's 6'4.5", 225, and he looks the part and is doing a great job. But Jaya Wright is the quarterback, and we've got good people that can step in, but we really want. I think perseverance and hard work. He has had to pay the price. And I've said to other people, go look and watch what the Hooker quarterback did at Tennessee and the Stetson quarterback at Georgia, what those two guys is. They both set the bench or got beat out 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
4 years, and yet they never quit. They kept going, and one of them was the SEC Offensive Player of the Year at Tennessee. The other one won the two national titles. After, in fact, he backed up his fifth year and then got the starting nod a couple of games in and won the championship. And the only year he ever won it out was the last year. But the point I was trying to make is Jaya has been steady. He's paid the price. He's persevered. He's got the same arm strength as Jaya, probably a little more running ability. And so he just needs that poise in the pocket that the veteran quarterback has. But we're excited for him, and we hope that we're expecting good things out of Jaya.
Yeah, it's amazing Stetson Bennett was handing off to Herschel Walker at the beginning of his career, and still.
Well, he was a walk-on. It took him about one semester to say, nope, I'm going to a junior college, and that was the only year he started.
Yeah.
He got beat out by everybody as a freshman. He goes to Jones. He comes back to Georgia as the very last guy they took on the second signing day. And then he backs up for a couple of years, but you know what? He stayed the course and paid his price, and both of those guys were third and fourth round draft picks. And I like a quarterback that has learned to persevere, that never gives up, that when bad things happen, like an interception or a fumble, they look ahead, not behind. And those are kind of the intangibles that I look for in a great quarterback.
Speaking of that, Coach, with the transfer portal, it's a lot different now, the landscape in terms of guys sticking it out. What do you talk to your kids about who, maybe a kid comes in and says, hey, I'm thinking about hitting the portal, I got beat out, whatever. Do you talk to them about, hey, maybe some perseverance, or is it hey, good luck, we wish you the best? Kind of what's your philosophy when it comes to kids that are struggling with their playing time or, thinking that maybe they should be somewhere that they aren't?
Well, we try to be proactive and encourage our kids to get close to the players. Try to get as close as you can as a position coach. Get close to them, show them attention. If they're a backup, you may think about playing them a little bit. Make sure they understand their opportunities are going to be here, and just do the best you can. But I have found out that once a player is ready to leave, you can't hardly change his mind.
Yeah.
And even if he does, he's not happy, because you got to remember, it's somebody's talking to him. Somebody's talking to him. If he jumps in the portal the day the season's in, they probably were talking to him 3 weeks ahead of that.
Right.
If that's one of your good players. So it's kind of gotten to the point now that I've had this portal transfer a while. All I can tell our coaches to do is treat your kids as good as you can treat them. Show them a great respect. Get close to them. Show them their opportunities. Make sure if you got to play them some, and then let the chips fall, because I don't think there's any other way to do it. And the reality is, once we lose a player, we have the opportunity to go in the portal and get one that's as good or better, because there's some awful good – a lot of Power 5 kids go thinking they're some other Power 5 school's going to take them, and they don't, and they come down to us. But like I say, we don't want to play all of our game on the portal. We have to respond to it with a number of players that we lose that would not have graduated yet.
Yeah. Terry Bowden, head coach of the ULM Warhawks, joining us. All right, Coach, kind of 10,000-foot view of the offense. Kind of tell us, give us maybe a few names of some guys that you expect to step up for you this year.
It's just groups of people. Of course, Ty Howell at wide receiver is our best receiver, one of the best in the conference. He's got to have a good year. We've got depth on the offensive line. We got 3
Always
starters
good.
back. Two of them jumped the portal, or they would have been back. But we've got 12 on scholarship now. Good depth at our offensive line. 4 running backs that are veterans. 2 of them transferred in. One from Ole Miss, one from Miami. Our 4 quarterbacks are in the hunt. Darren Wiley at wide receiver has been an outstanding addition to our offensive staff. Defensively, we just got a lot of people that can run. We lost a lot on defense, but I think by design, Coach Koenig wanted to bring some people in there that could play his style. So we've got some people on defense. A.J. Watts is a safety that plays real well. You got to love. I love our linebackers. They're new, but Carl Glass, who played here in town, as well as Michael Batten, was a quarterback in high school and moved to inside linebacker. Those are outstanding linebackers. Aiden Huntington, defensive tackle, has been the bright spot of our team. Transferred in with a couple of years left. He's about 285 and can run and play hard. And he is a vocal and physical leader of our team.
Coach, I will say, just from a personal standpoint, the
Yes,
move,
sir.
and I know this has been a couple of years now, but the move back to the gold and the nice maroon unis, they are so sharp. I think they look amazing. I know we talked about it the last time you were on, but I applaud y'all for going back to that, because that is a fantastic look.
I agree.
Y'all are sharp.
I agree. I mean, maroon and gold are about as pretty as you can get
Yes.
as a matching football team, and it's good for us to go back. I mean, anything you can do that brings some people memories back and nostalgia back, and people. There were a lot of great teams in that color. A lot of great teams here at ULM in that color. So it's awful good to bring them back.
Well, Rogers Hampton, the ULM grad or NLU graduate at the time, is nodding along as you said that, Coach. He is quite appreciative of that. Terry, always great to chat with you, man. I love getting to catch up with you. Best of luck against Army. Go get that game. I mean, look, it's one of the few times anyone would root against our armed forces, but I'm going to root against the armed forces.
One time only.
Yeah. Coach,
right.
best of luck, brother.
Thank you, Dave.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Terry Bowden, head coach of the ULM Warhawks.